Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Adam had always believed a solid marriage was built on partnership, mutual respect, and unwavering support for each other's dreams. At 36, he worked as an operations manager for a respected logistics company, a position he'd earned after years of dedication and countless late nights studying for certifications that set him apart in the industry. His routine was intense and demanding, often stretching beyond 60 hours a week whenever major contracts required his direct oversight. But Adam never complained. Every extra hour, every sacrificed weekend, every promotion he received had one clear purpose in his mind: building a comfortable life for himself and Ella, his wife of 5 years, and especially funding her big dream of opening her own personalized training gym. Ella was 34 and had worked as a personal trainer for nearly a decade. She was dedicated, knew anatomy and physiology better than many doctors Adam had met, and had that infectious energy that made her clients feel capable of anything. Adam deeply admired her determination. In the early years of their marriage, they'd often spend hours talking about what Ella's dream gym would look like: state-of-the-art equipment, specialized studio spaces, even a recovery area with massage therapists. Adam memorized every detail of those plans because they mattered to her, and anything that mattered to Ella mattered to him. That's why Adam accepted absurdly long hours, took on projects his colleagues refused for being too stressful, and repeatedly postponed buying the house they both wanted. Every saved dollar went into a joint account mentally labeled Ella's Gym Fund. Over the past 3 years, Adam had managed to accumulate $80,000 in that account. $80,000 hard-earned dollars, earned through overnight logistics crises, weekend spreadsheet reviews, and skipped lunches to close deals. He never mentioned the sacrifice because he didn't see it as sacrifice, he saw it as an investment in their future, in her happiness. Things began to shift subtly about 2 months ago. Ella started coming home later, always with plausible excuses about new clients who could only train after business hours or meetings with potential investors for the future gym. Adam believed her because he had no reason to doubt. Ella also began dressing up more, investing in expensive workout clothes and perfumes Adam didn't recognize. When he commented on it, she said she needed to maintain a flawless professional image to attract the right clientele. It made sense. Everything made sense, until that Tuesday night. Adam had gotten home around 9, exhausted after mediating a tense negotiation with suppliers. Ella was in the kitchen, but unlike other nights, she didn't ask how his day went or offer dinner. She just distractedly scrolled through her phone with a distant expression Adam couldn't decipher. He tried starting a conversation about a new corporate client he'd secured, which meant a substantial bonus that could accelerate the gym plans. He expected to see Ella excited, but she barely looked up from her screen. "We need to talk," Ella suddenly said, and something in her tone made Adam's stomach tighten. She set her phone aside, crossed her arms, and finally looked at him, but it was a strange, distant look, as if she were assessing a stranger. "I've been thinking a lot about my life, my goals, where I want to be in 5 years." Adam sat down at the kitchen table, trying to process where this conversation was headed. "Is everything okay? Did something happen?" "Living with you is holding me back from achieving my dreams," Ella said, and the words came out so naturally it took Adam a few seconds to truly absorb their meaning. She continued as if reciting a rehearsed script. "I need space to grow, to find myself professionally, to explore opportunities one can't pursue while stuck in a relationship that confines me to a certain lifestyle." Adam blinked, completely lost. "A certain lifestyle?" "Ella, I work 60 hours a week to fund exactly the dreams you just said you can't achieve. Every cent we've saved was meant for your gym. How am I holding you back?" She looked away, nervously fiddling with her hair. "You wouldn't understand. It's about creative freedom, about making choices without always having to consider someone else. I need time to think." The conversation ended there, with Adam confused and Ella retreating to the guest bedroom, saying she needed space. He spent the night awake in the living room, replaying every word, trying to find logic in what had happened. Nothing made sense. In the days that followed, Ella was barely home. She'd leave before Adam woke up and return when he was already asleep, or pretending to be. That Friday of the same week, Adam noticed something different. Ella had completely avoided any physical intimacy for weeks, always with excuses about being tired or stressed. She'd also developed a new habit of taking her phone everywhere, even into the bathroom, and whenever she set it down, the screen always faced downward. Adam wasn't naturally suspicious, but years of managing complex operations had taught him to recognize irregular patterns, anomalies that signaled deeper problems hidden beneath the surface. On Saturday morning, Ella left early, saying she had a training session with a new client at a gym across town. Adam was organizing some papers in his office when he realized she'd forgotten her phone on the nightstand. The device vibrated with a message, and Adam, without thinking much of it, walked into the bedroom to pick it up. Maybe he'd bring it to her at the gym. The screen lit up with the notification, and what Adam saw made his blood run cold. The message was from someone saved as Alex, client. But it wasn't about scheduling a session. "I already miss you. Last night was incredible. I can't wait for us to be together for real, without having to hide." There was a heart emoji. Adam held the phone with trembling hands. Part of him wanted to throw it away, pretend he hadn't seen it, return to the comfortable ignorance of half an hour ago. But the part of him that solved problems for a living, the part that identified flaws in complex systems, took over. He unlocked the phone. They still used the same password they'd chosen together years ago, their initials followed by their wedding year. The naivety of it almost made him laugh bitterly. The message history between Ella and Alex, client, was extensive, dating back 4 months. Adam didn't read everything immediately because he didn't need to. The early messages were professional, about training techniques and scheduling. Then they grew more personal, more frequent, compliments on her appearance, shirtless photos of him after workouts, increasingly intimate conversations. 2 months ago, the messages became unmistakably romantic, declarations, plans to meet at hotels, discussions about a future together. Adam scrolled further, searching for a full name, some identification. He found it in a message where Ella called him Alexander and mentioned his fitness startup. With fingers that didn't feel like his own, Adam opened a browser and searched. Alexander Chen, 29, personal trainer to local celebrities, a familiar face in regional health and fitness magazines. Handsome, muscular, perfect smile in every professional photo. And there was more. Alexander was building a strong personal brand, had nearly 100,000 social media followers, and offered premium consulting. But it was the next discovery that turned Adam's confusion into something cold and calculating. In a conversation from 3 weeks prior, Ella and Alexander discussed opening a gym together. Not just discussing, they were concretely planning. She mentioned "the money we have saved," referred to $80,000 as the initial investment, and said it would be enough to lease space and buy basic equipment. Alexander replied excitedly, saying that with his client base and her expertise, they'd be unstoppable. They planned to do it in 2 months. Adam sat on the bed, phone still in hand, trying to breathe normally. $80,000. The money he'd saved over 3 brutal years of work. Ella planned to use that money to open a gym, not with the husband who'd sacrificed everything for her, but with her lover. The gym had always been her dream. Adam just hadn't known that in the updated plans, he'd been replaced. Anger came, hot and suffocating, but Adam forced himself to think clearly. She'd be back in a few hours and would realize her phone was at home. He needed to act fast, but intelligently. First, he took dozens of screenshots of the most damning messages, emailed them to himself, and deleted the sent history from her phone. Then he looked up which banks were open on Saturdays. He had 2 hours before they closed. Adam drove to the bank branch on autopilot, his mind in problem-solving mode. He spoke with the manager, explained he needed to protect marital assets ahead of an imminent divorce, and presented documentation proving the joint account deposits came mostly from his salary. In 40 minutes, he transferred the $80,000 into a new individual account in his name, legally protected. Then he went straight to the office of a divorce attorney a colleague had recommended months earlier over a casual lunch. By 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon, Adam had hired a lawyer, secured the money, and gathered photographic evidence of the affair. Only one piece was missing: irrefutable visual proof. He knew text messages could be disputed, alleged as fakes or misunderstandings. He needed something unquestionable. On his way home, he stopped at an electronics store and bought a discreet, high-definition dashcam with night vision and continuous recording. On Monday morning, before Ella woke up, Adam installed the camera on her car's dashboard, hidden among other objects. It was nearly invisible unless you knew where to look. He went to work as usual, answered emails, attended meetings, but his mind was elsewhere, counting the hours. For 2 days, nothing significant was recorded. Ella drove to the gym where she worked, returned home, went out for client meetings. Adam reviewed the footage every night, feeling like a stranger spying on someone else's life. On Wednesday night, he finally got what he needed. The recording showed Ella parking away from the main gym lot she worked at, in a poorly lit area. Minutes later, another car pulled up beside hers. Alexander got out, glanced around to make sure they were alone, and got into her car. For 23 minutes, the camera captured exactly the kind of interaction that would destroy any claim of innocence: kisses, touches, conversations where they discussed when they could finally get rid of the complications, and be together for real. Alexander mentioned he needed to break up with his fiancée first, but that he was almost there. Adam paused the recording. Fiancée? Alexander had a fiancée? He returned to his computer and dug deeper into Alexander's social media, looking beyond his public persona as a fitness trainer. It took time, but eventually he found it: old photos tagged by others, undeleted comments. Alexander had been engaged for 8 months to a fitness influencer named Megan, who was 5 months pregnant. Recent photos on her private profile showed her growing belly, baby plans, and a loving man preparing the nursery. The situation was even worse than Adam imagined. Ella wasn't just cheating on him. She was being used by a man with a pregnant fiancée, a man who clearly had no real intention of leaving his life for her. And Ella, blinded by passion or ambition, planned to destroy her marriage and steal Adam's savings to invest in a future with someone who would likely discard her when things got too complicated. Adam saved all the information about Megan, including her profile and pregnancy evidence. Then, calmly, he began planning the confrontation. It wouldn't be impulsive, full of yelling and broken dishes. It would be surgical, devastating, irreversible. On Friday night, Adam prepared everything. He printed screenshots of the most incriminating messages, included freeze frames from the parking lot video, and compiled evidence about Alexander and Megan. He organized it all into a physical folder, methodical like an audit report. He waited for Ella to come home around 8, as had become routine. She walked in with the same distant expression from recent weeks, greeted Adam distractedly, and went straight to the bedroom to change. When she returned to the living room, Adam was on the couch, the folder on the coffee table, a glass of whiskey he had no intention of drinking beside it. "Sit down, Ella," Adam said, and something in his tone, calm but absolutely firm, made her hesitate before obeying. "We need to have that conversation you started last week. About your dreams, about what's holding you back from achieving them." Ella frowned, confused by his calmness. "Adam, I already said I need space to think." "I know exactly what you need," Adam interrupted, sliding the folder toward her. "You need $80,000 to open a gym with Alexander Chen. You need me out of your life so you can pursue that beautiful dream with your celebrity personal trainer. Open the folder, Ella. Let's talk about dreams." Color drained from her face. With trembling hands, Ella opened the folder and saw the first page, a screenshot of a message where she said, "I can't wait to start our life together, away from all this phoniness." The second page showed Alexander shirtless, with an explicit message about their previous night together. The third was a freeze frame from the parking lot video. When did you, Ella began, but the words died. She flipped through the rest of the pages, each worse than the last, each more incriminating. When she reached the photos of Megan's pregnant belly with dated captions, she stopped completely. "Let me tell you a story," Adam said, leaning back on the couch with a calm he didn't feel. "There's an operations manager who worked 60 hours a week for 3 years. This guy saved every penny he could, turned down promotions that required moving to another city, postponed his dream of owning a house, all to help his wife, whom he loved, achieve her dream. And you know what he found out? That his wife planned to steal that money, use it to start a business with her lover, and probably disappear from his life as if 5 years of marriage meant nothing." "It's not like that," Ella whispered, tears starting to fall. "You don't understand, I fell in love, I didn't plan this." "But you did plan to steal $80,000? Adam asked, leaning forward. "Because you planned that very well. Let me save you some future trouble, since I somehow still care about your well-being, in a strange, masochistic way." "Alexander? He has a fiancée who's 5 months pregnant. The baby's due in June. He's not going to leave her. He never was going to. You were just convenient fun, possibly an easy $80,000 investment." Ella frantically flipped to the pages about Megan, rereading the information as if hoping the words would change. "No, he said he was single, he said he was just waiting for the right moment to go public with us." "He lied," Adam said with a cruelty that even surprised himself. "And you were naive enough to believe it. But you know what's funny? I protected you anyway. The money's already been transferred to an account in my name. You won't be able to use it for this ridiculous adventure. Divorce attorneys hired. Papers will be filed Monday. And about Alexander." Adam picked up his phone and showed her the screen. "I found Megan's Instagram. She's very active, posts everything about her pregnancy. I thought about sending her an info packet similar to the one you're holding now. After all, she deserves to know what kind of father her child is going to have, doesn't she?" "You wouldn't do that," Ella said, but it sounded more like a question than a statement. "I haven't decided yet," Adam replied honestly. "It depends on how you behave from here on out. I'll be clear about how things will work. You'll move out of this house by the end of the month. I won't complicate the divorce if you sign everything without drama. The lease is in my name, the security deposit came out of my pocket. When I leave here, you're not coming with me. Find your own place. You can take your clothes and personal items. As for the joint account money, don't even think about it. It's legally protected, and I can prove 95% came from my salary." Ella was openly crying now, convulsive sobs shaking her whole body. "Adam, please, we can talk. I made a terrible mistake, I can explain." "There's no explanation that changes what you did," Adam said, standing up. "You didn't just betray me physically. You planned to steal from me. You planned to destroy everything we built to start a new life with another man using my money. That's not a mistake, Ella. That's premeditated, calculated betrayal. And I won't forgive that." He walked to the master bedroom door and picked up the suitcase he'd already packed for her. "Your clothes are in here. You can stay in the guest room until you find another place. From now on, we're just two people getting divorced who happen to live temporarily in the same space. If you try to contact me beyond what's necessary for the divorce, if you try to access bank accounts, if you create any kind of problem, Megan gets the full package. Understood?" Ella could only nod, her face red and swollen, completely broken. Adam felt a pang of something that might have been pity, but he immediately suppressed it. He grabbed his coat and car keys. I'll sleep at a hotel tonight. I'll be back early tomorrow morning. I want you in the guest room when I get here. The following week, Adam discovered, through messages he intercepted before returning Ella's phone, that she'd confronted Alexander about Megan's pregnancy. The trainer initially denied everything, then admitted it but said it was complicated and that he needed time. Desperate, Ella told him she'd separated from her husband for him. Alexander replied that she'd acted too hastily and that maybe they should take a break while he sorted things out. Essentially, he discarded her the moment he realized she wouldn't bring the $80,000 she'd promised. But the situation took an unexpected turn 2 weeks later. Adam was at the office when he received a message from an unknown number. It was Megan. "Are you the husband of the personal trainer Ella? I need to talk to you urgently." They met at a neutral cafe. Megan was visibly pregnant, hair pulled back in a ponytail, tired-looking but determined. "I found out about you and your wife 3 days ago," she began without preamble. "I hacked Alexander's phone because he was acting strange. I saw the messages between them. I saw you were divorcing. I saw you had proof." Adam said nothing, just waited. Megan continued, "I'm not leaving him. Not out of love, that died when I read those disgusting messages. But I'm pregnant, financially dependent on him, and I'm going to use that. I'll publicly forgive him, post about our couple's triumph over adversity, all that social media nonsense. But behind the scenes, I'll make sure he signs a prenatal agreement that fully protects me. He'll pay for this in other ways." She paused, locking eyes with Adam with surprising intensity. "But your ex-wife? She needs to pay too. And I found out she depends on her reputation to get clients, right? Personal trainers live off their image." Adam started to see where this was going. Megan went on, "I'm going to post exposing Alexander's affair. I'll mention it was with a married personal trainer who tried to steal her husband to fund their business. I won't name her directly, but I'll give enough details for anyone who looks into it to figure out who she is. With my 200,000 followers, this will go viral. Any objections?" Adam thought for a moment. The rational part of him knew this would permanently destroy Ella's career in town. The hurt, betrayed part? That part thought Ella deserved every consequence. "Do what you think is necessary," he replied simply. Megan's post went live 2 days later. It was devastating and perfectly calculated. She presented herself as a pregnant fiancé betrayed, cried on video about discovering her fiancé's affair with a married personal trainer who'd planned to steal her husband's savings, and spoke about how women should support each other, but some destroy families without remorse. She didn't name names, but she described the gym where Ella worked, mentioned the area of town, even her physical appearance. Within 6 hours, Megan's followers had identified Ella. Within 12 hours, it was all over local fitness and gossip groups. Ella's clients started canceling contracts. The gym where she worked fired her to protect the company's image. Her attempts to defend herself on social media only made things worse. Relentless commenters appeared on every post, reminding her of the scandal, sharing Megan's video. Within 2 weeks, Ella had lost 90% of her clientele. Within a month, she was working part-time at a supplement store, the only fitness-related job she could find. The divorce was finalized 3 months after the discovery. Ella signed everything without contest. She had no resources for a lawyer, and Adam had too much evidence. She kept her old car, personal clothes, and credit card debt she'd accumulated buying gifts for Alexander. Adam kept the house furniture and all $80,000 intact. 6 months after the bomb exploded, Adam was unrecognizable compared to the devastated man from that discovery night. He finally decided to use some of the saved money for himself. He bought home gym equipment, hired a nutritionist and a new personal trainer. He lost 15 pounds, gained muscle, and updated his look. He also reduced his work hours to 50 a week, prioritizing mental health. That promotion he'd turned down years ago? A similar one came up, and he accepted it, including a 30% salary increase. He was at a cafe near work on a Saturday morning when he saw Ella for the first time since the divorce. She was in her supplement store uniform, hair haphazardly tied back, looking tired and dull. When their eyes met, Adam saw instant recognition, then something like shame or regret. She hesitated, clearly considering whether to approach him. Adam didn't look away, didn't show anger or hurt. He simply raised his coffee cup in a neutral greeting, his expression completely indifferent, then returned to reading on his tablet. There was no triumph in that gesture, no deliberate cruelty, just absolute indifference from someone who genuinely moved on. Ella stood there for a few more seconds, then kept walking, shoulders slumped, dragging her feet like she carried an invisible weight. Adam didn't turn to see where she went. Not because it still hurt, the pain had faded to something manageable, a scar instead of an open wound. But because Ella simply didn't matter anymore. She'd become just a character from a closed chapter, a lesson learned about blind trust, ignoring warning signs, and the price of loving someone more than you love yourself. That night, Adam had dinner with friends who'd supported him through the divorce, laughed genuinely for the first time in months, and made plans for a trip he'd always postponed. The $80,000 were still saved, and would now finally be used for the down payment on the home he'd always wanted, a place that would be his alone, with no tainted memories or ghosts of a failed relationship. And when someone asked if he was ready to date again, Adam smiled and said he was learning to date himself first, to invest in his own dreams before funding someone else's. Because in the end, Ella was right about one thing: living with someone who doesn't truly value you really does hold you back from achieving your dreams. Adam just hadn't realized he was the one being held back, sacrificing for someone who saw his sacrifices as resources to exploit. Now free, the dreams were all his, and unlike Ella, Adam didn't need to betray, steal, or destroy anyone to pursue them. He just needed the courage to let go of someone who'd already left long before announcing their departure. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.